Three, two, one, go. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Fit Body Secrets, where my mission is to bring you guys inspiration, motivation, and a ton of tips to help you guys on your fitness journey. And I'm gonna be honest, before I coming on here, was just looking at this screen. I'm like, I look like dog shit today. I actually started getting sick last Tuesday, which I record my podcast episodes every Tuesday. And last Tuesday morning, I woke up around 3:30 and I felt like, nose is a little iffy, throat's a little sore, something's brewing, probably getting a little cold. And that day I just felt low on energy, got through my day, just assumed it was because I didn't sleep well. And then that night, I'm like, no, something ain't right. Didn't sleep good that night either. And then Wednesday, I felt really bad. Thursday, I felt worse. The fever, which I didn't know I had a fever, although a really cool feature I will tell you that I figured out on the Whoop strap is it does measure your temperature. So I don't know how to tell what my temperature was, but it did tell me my temperature was elevated. And just that like feeling of like when stuff touches your skin, how it just kind of hurts. And so it was not fun. And it pretty much was the majority of last week. I started to feel better on Saturday. So I thought I was on the mend. And then Sunday, I felt worse again. And then yesterday felt significantly better. Today, feeling significantly better, but still feeling really blah and feeling, like I said, like I just feel like I look like dog shit right now. But it's all good. So, guys, today's episode, I had a lot of thoughts when I decided to put this episode out here because I never want to feel like when I'm talking about things like this, for instance, for one thing is I hate using the word fat, right? Like I hate using that word. I use the word body fat a lot, dietary fat, but I would never label somebody fat or skinny. I just think that those are negative connotations, but there is truth to, obviously, some people are overweight, some people are underweight, some people are lean and fit, some people aren't. And today I wanted to really put an episode out there, like a kind of a little bit of a tough love episode of what it looks like to have habits that are building somebody that is lean, fit, and healthy within balance, because I can talk to you about how that can go to extremes just as well, versus those that are living an unhealthy lifestyle and how their habits are shaping a very negative result. And it's why they're overweight and stuck. And a lot of people, in either scenario, I'll be honest, it's easy. It's easy to stay in either of those scenarios when you develop those habits. But a lot of people that know that they need to make changes struggle because they don't know how to get out of the feedback loop that they're in, that their circumstances are the reasons why they can't change. And I'm not saying that change isn't hard. I'm not saying that, when you're dealing with 3 kids and a full-time job and you're stressed about 5 million other things, that making changes to your habits is going to be easy. It is going to take some work. But there is also truth to recognizing that if you're like, oh, I just been so busy, I haven't been dialing in my nutrition, realizing that like, well, you're likely still eating. So what are you eating and what choices are you making? So this is the stuff that we need to talk about. It's honestly why I'm doing this right now, because this is the stuff we need to talk about. It's the stuff that people avoid talking about. That is the reason why people are being coddled into staying stuck. And I want to go over this, and I want to talk about what it looks like to live a lifestyle that does value your body enough to take care of it. And that does mean sometimes putting hard work in along with allowing yourself some recovery. Because like I said, that can go down the exact same negative place as being overweight and stuck. And I want to show you guys some of the differences in habits and help you make your own decisions as to where you think you need to be leaning in a little bit more effort and emphasis, but maybe you don't know how or what to change. And I'm going to go into where this is also a problem, because um, I think that a lot of people that know that they need to make change, they don't know where to start. And the advice that they're being given is the wrong advice. And it's why they continue to fail and why they continue to feel like a failure. And I want to go over some things that you can do today, because my goal with this episode isn't just to call you out or, tell you that you're living this healthy lifestyle or this unhealthy lifestyle and then just leave you there. No, my goal is to show you, like, all right, like, I know it's hard. These things are going to make your life a whole bunch easier if you start focusing on these one or two things. So hopefully you get value out of this episode. And I'm going to be honest, it might make you feel a certain way. I know that if I was taking this feedback and I saw myself checking the boxes and all the things that were going against the goals that I had for myself, I would feel a little bit defeated. Like, I need to make changes. And I've been there and I'm still there in a lot of ways. I'm not perfect. And it's funny, one of my clients said she loves how unbelievably open I am, that I talk about my struggles, because guess what? Nobody's fucking perfect. I don't care what anybody says. Everybody makes mistakes. Everybody has room for improvement in their life. There is no perfect person in the world. The only perfect person in the world is the one that died for all of us before we were all even born. So, and that's just how I truly feel. So without any further ado, let's talk. All right. So I'm going to talk about the habits of being fit and lean first. And when I say fit, lean, and healthy, I don't want you to think that I am looking at people that are 5-10% body fat and they're living their life at a Tupperwares. They could literally step on a bodybuilding show at any moment. Like, that's not truly healthy and fit. Okay. And I can get really vulnerable here right now. I am a super lean individual. Okay. But I am not super healthy right now. And that is why I am working hard to make changes in my own journey, because I want to be healthier. And so there is a level of being obsessed with being too fit and too lean that's going to get you sick. Even, I'm going to be honest, a lot of the CrossFit athletes are not all that healthy. Like, yeah, they might be fit, but that does not mean they're healthy. At the peak of my career, I was dealing with, like, my kidney levels and my liver function levels were off and off because of all of the breakdown I was doing in my body. The amount of, injuries that a lot of athletes work through during their seasons, that's not healthy per se. You wouldn't tell a general person to do those things, but that's the extremes of being that. So let's talk about what it looks like to live a lean, fit, and healthy life. Like, you're somebody that you're confident in your skin, you like the way your body looks, you're working out regularly, and you're just happy in life. Like, there's not a bunch of focus on, like, all this work you have to do. It's just part of your life. These are, and I wrote down quite a few. Okay. So here are some of those habits. Some of them are going to be nutrition related, some of them are lifestyle related, and some of them are training related. Number one, okay, lean, fit, and healthy people understand the importance of reading food labels and controlling calorie intake. Okay, so I don't care what anybody says. I don't care what any influencer tells you about how they don't track calories or macros. They have likely spent time in the past tracking calories and macros, or doing some form of nutrition protocol that allowed them to dial in those things without tracking them. Okay, so you should be, if you living a lean, fit, healthy life, you're looking at nutrition facts, you're looking at portion sizes, you're looking at the calories per portion sizes, and you're learning how to make educated decisions based on that stuff. Okay, they're not just winging it. Lean, fit, and healthy people move on a daily basis. Okay, so they make movement a part of their lifestyle. Even if they have a full-time job or they're sitting behind a desk. Guys, I have clients of all different types of jobs. They get up, even if it's for just 5 minutes after a meeting, and they get up and they walk around, even if it's just to go use the bathroom, or if they're working from home, it's to go wash a couple of dishes. They get up and they move. And then after work, if they've been sitting all day, they take 20 to 30 minutes and go for a walk. They're active as much as they can be that their life will allow. Again, I'm not telling you that you have to go like tell your boss, sorry, I've got to go for my daily walk, but they make it a point to try and make that work. And sometimes it's like, I'm eating lunch before lunch so that I can go for a walk on my lunch break. They're being smart with those types of things. They're making a plan to walk places rather than always drive there. They're parking in furthest parts. So sometimes on a Sunday, what I like to do is I'll park at my grocery store, but there's a Target and a TJ Maxx. It's about, I guess it's about half a mile. So I'll like walk there and then I'll like walk back home or back to the grocery store, do my grocery shopping, and then get in my car. Easy way to get some steps in and get a little bit of sunshine. So they're very active and they stay active and consistent with their training. Like people that are lean, fit, and healthy, they're not constantly trying to get consistent with their workout program. They're not doing 2 days this week and then 5 days next week and then 4 days the week after and then like 3 days the next week. No, they like have a consistent cadence to their training. Even if life happens and they might have to move days around, they figure out how to be consistent with that nutrition, or I'm sorry, with their training plan throughout. And that works for them, so that's something that you guys all can understand, is that, and a lot of you guys do understand, because a lot of y'all don't have a problem showing up to the CrossFit gym. I got to tell you, I'm taking a sip of my drink. Nothing tastes good. Did I already talk about this? The fact that like, I think I got COVID. Things just don't taste good. Anyways, gonna keep going. Okay, this is a really important one. All right. Lean, fit, and healthy people are empowered to say no. Okay. So they don't have FOMO. They don't feel restricted. They go out and all their friends are drinking margaritas and eating tortilla chips. They are totally fine passing and saying no, thank you. They don't mind it. It doesn't bother them. They don't feel restricted. Let me say that again. Okay. But they also know how to say yes. It's their birthday and they're damn sure going to have some birthday cake. It's their kid's birthday and they're damn sure going to have a piece of pizza with their kid. They have found balance between what it looks like to indulge and enjoy food, but also realize that they don't have to indulge and enjoy food just because it's there. They don't have to follow what everybody else at the table is doing just because everybody else at the table is doing it. In fact, the reason why they are different than everybody else at the table is because they've taken that stand. And I'm going to be honest, it is the minority. I've talked about this before. Being lean, fit, and healthy is the minority. You don't believe me? Next time you go to the grocery store, go ahead and look around. Go ahead and look around at the people. And I'm not telling you to judge people, but just go ahead and look around at the people that you see in the grocery store. And you could probably tell which ones haven't been to the gym and worked out in a long time, which ones are eating too much food. You maybe don't know everything about their story, but you probably know that their habits are probably not in line with being lean, fit, and healthy. Okay, this is a big one. They eat consistently and routinely. All right, so they're dialed in with their meal timing. Now, I'm not saying that they're like 7 o'clock time to eat and 11 o'clock time to eat. Like, again, that's where we can get into obsessive stuff. But they eat on a routine schedule. Like they're not just waiting for like, oh, all of a sudden I think I'm hungry, so I think I should eat something now. And they actually have some type of a plan or strategy that they've developed to know what to grab at those times. They know when it's time for a meal. They know when it's time for a snack. They have ideas and suggestions on what to grab in those times because they've built that habit over time. They're not just winging it all the time. Okay, so this is something that everybody has. Now, this does not mean you have to meal prep and, spend hours in the kitchen on a Sunday. It does not mean that you have to cook every single meal. It just means they have a plan, So sometimes the plan is as simple as like taking a pack of freaking tuna, some light mayo, throwing it on some whole grain bread, and having a side of cut up vegetables, right? Like Sometimes the plan is popping a pre-made meal out of the refrigerator that you picked up at a local store and having that with a salad. Okay, but the goal really is that you have a plan. You're always a meal ahead. You're never just winging it. Lean people have that in place. The majority of the time, lean people, fit people, healthy people are honoring their hunger cues and they are eating when they're hungry. They're not judging them. They're not saying, like, I'm not supposed to eat right now. I'm not hungry, or I shouldn't be hungry right now. They're actually taking those cues and being like, wow, I probably didn't have enough to eat in my last meal. Or, oh, no, you know what? It is time for me to eat again. They're listening to those cues. And guess what? They get cravings. So when they eat, they are also making sure that when they're building meals that are satisfying their cravings, So I'm craving something sweet, but I'm going to make sure I plan a meal that's balanced, that has protein in it. It's just going to be something sweet, So I know that the same boring shit works, but the same boring shit works. Okay. So that might be Greek yogurt with some berries and some granola and some honey, So whatever it is, they have a plan and they stick to a routine. And that's what keeps them consistent. Oh, this is a big one. Lean, fit, and healthy people do not follow fad diets. I don't care what so-and-so tells you about their results on the carnivore diet. They might show you a transformation. I want to see that person's transformation and that person's diet a year later. Because the majority of those people are showing you a snapshot of their life, and they don't stick to that diet beyond that snapshot. And I know this because I also work with other influencers who have done these things. You cannot buy a program based off of a transformation. Stop falling victim to fad diets. Those people that have developed a lean, fit, and healthy body and are truly happy don't have to follow fad diets. They can enjoy all foods. They've learned how to navigate nutrition without following a fad diet. Oh, this one's going to ruffle some feathers. The majority of lean people do not drink alcohol. And if they do, they save it for special occasions on rare occasion. So there's probably a population of lean individuals that do drink regularly, but they're likely not as healthy as they look. Again, just because somebody looks healthy doesn't mean that they are healthy. Just because they're lean doesn't mean that they're healthy, So we can still see problems that you don't actually see. But those people that are truly lean, fit, and healthy don't drink often. And when they do, they limit it. So 1 or 2 drinks a week. In reality, 3 or 4 drinks a week is okay. And that's being fit, healthy, and lean. But they don't feel restricted if they have to say no. They don't have to drink at every single occasion. Lean, fit, and healthy people prioritize sleep. And this is not easy. And I get it because a lot of people have extremely busy schedules, and their day might start between 3:30 and 5 a.m. and they're not settling down for bed until 9:30 or 10 p.m. And then they want to stay up and scroll through social media or check a Netflix show just to decompress from everything from the day before actually falling asleep. And I know that right now, this is probably going to be the hardest one for a lot of people to address because it is really hard when life doesn't give you enough time. So I will say this, that even if you can't always get that 7 to 9 hours of sleep, that really is optimal for feeling and looking your best. Lean, fit, and healthy people take advantage of the nights that they can. Be honest, sometimes that might be being a little introverted and calling it a night early so they can go to bed early when they don't have to worry about getting up first thing in the morning and getting a good night's sleep. Okay, so they do prioritize ensuring that they're getting enough sleep. Another one that's going to ruffle some feathers. Lean people don't eat out very often, and when they do, unless it's a special occasion, they're looking for like the high protein, low calorie versions on the menu for the most part. They're not looking for the most indulgent thing. Going to freaking Chili's, a fucking stupid chain restaurant, just to go for a work event isn't an excuse for them to have a burger and fries and tortilla chips. Like, ugh, I have to go to this luncheon. I'm going to find something on the menu that works and I'm going to be okay with that. Like, that's how most people that are lean, fit, and healthy navigate eating out at restaurants. Okay. Doesn't mean that they don't sometimes have restaurant experiences where they go out and have a good time. Y'all ever been to Texas de Brazil? Some people up north might have a fogo de chao. It's that like Brazilian steakhouse where they just keep bringing you meat. Like, that's an experience, right? Like, you're going to go and you're going to enjoy it, right? It's a special occasion. You go to a special restaurant, you're on vacation. Those things are great. But for the majority of the time, they're eating at home and they're cooking at home. They're cooking at home the majority of their meals. And the main thing that I want you to understand is that lean, fit, healthy people also relax. They relax, they take time off, they take rest days, they go on vacation. They have things that happen in life that make things difficult for them to stay consistent. But when those things happen, vacations, celebrations, setbacks, they get through it and they get back to work. That's it. They don't judge themselves. Like, oh my God, I totally screwed up. Like, I was on vacation for a week, I gained 5 pounds. Like, they don't do that. And when they're on vacation, they're still mindful. They're still thinking about things, but they're just allowing themselves to relax a little bit, In fact, I think a lot of lean, fit, and healthy people also look for places and vacation opportunities that allow them to kind of, embrace their lifestyle, and I think that that's okay, doesn't mean that you have to do that. You should also be able to just go on a beach and lay down and have a drink and not stress about it. But lean, fit, and healthy people, they do these things and they also enjoy them, So I think that I'd love to know how many of those things on the list you felt are in line with your lifestyle, or which ones maybe you're like, need to work on that. Things I didn't mention things like getting protein intake in, but they do. Getting enough whole foods in, but they do. Because a lot of that stuff it comes down to the meal planning and stuff. Lean, fit, and healthy people don't follow diets that are restrictive, like I mentioned. They're just eating for the majority of their food, coming from high quality food, allowing themselves a little bit of flexibility. And now I want to talk about the opposite. I want to break down a list of the habits that are keeping people sick, overweight, unhealthy, and from making gym progress. Even if your goals aren't weight loss related, if you're struggling to like feel good in your day, struggling with hormones, struggling with whatever issues you have, even things like anxiety, okay? All of these habits are encompassed in unhealthy choices that are likely leading you down the path of an unhealthy lifestyle and could be making it easier for you to gain weight. And I think it starts off, before I go into these, is a lot of people like to blame circumstances. My hormones are a mess. My metabolism's messed up. I'm too busy at work. There's too much stress. And all of those things are factors that are going to impact your choices, but you still have control over your choices. And so I will talk about this a little bit more. But let's go down this list as well. It's going to be a lot of the opposite of what I've already talked about. Number 1, and this is the habits of unhealthy, overweight people. They read nutrition labels from the front and they read restaurant menus, but they don't pay attention to nutrition facts, calories, protein intake, food sources. They're looking at the front of the package and they're looking at the claims there. They're looking at what looks good on the menu, and they're choosing by those choices. They don't have any idea about portion sizes or any of that stuff. They're just like, that looks good. They also might look for BOGO deals. Oh, this is on sale. I'm going to grab that. They think they're saving a penny, and they're really not. They're just putting it on their ass. And that's really the problem. Okay. So you're not really saving anything. You're ending up costing yourself more in the long run. They sit the majority of their day and don't make moving a part of it. And they also fall victim to an inconsistent gym routine. And like I said, again, I know a lot of people have very busy lifestyles. I am fortunate to work for myself. I can get up and walk throughout the day, but I still got a shit ton of work that I get done in a very long day. I just make it a point to get up and move throughout the day. So whatever you got to do, but whatever you do, this is where a lot of people run into a problem is that they don't get up and move. They're like so focused on like just getting through work. They don't allow themselves time for a break. And I'm going to be honest, if you are working for a company that doesn't allow you 5-minute breaks to get up and move, like that's a problem. And most jobs do have that built in place. I think it's like a rule that like an 8-hour shift, you're supposed to have like 2 5 to 10-minute breaks and a lunch break. And if you're not taking it because you'd rather work through all that time, that's your choice. Because you're afraid of people pleasing or afraid of not people pleasing or whatever, upsetting your boss, like you deserve to get up and move and take breaks. Also, the gym routine. Stop trying to commit to 5 or 6 days a week if you know you can't do that. Why not start by for a month? Isn't this fun? Why not start for like a month? I'm going 3 days a week. Because even if you only get there once during your work week, you can still make the choice to say, guess I'm going to go on my days off from work. So you're still going to be able to be consistent. All right. People that are overweight, unhealthy, and unfit often have an extremely hard time saying no. They feel restricted when they say no. They feel FOMO when they say no. They're always worried about what they're missing out on. They're looking for that instant gratification of self-acceptance, but acceptance from others and feeling like they're part of something. So they totally abandon ship on the things that they know that they need to be focusing on. Okay. As I mentioned, you're going to have to be the minority in order to make changes happen. So if your fear of missing out is why you're making food choices, that's also why you're staying stuck. You are going to have to be different than your environment in order to make changes. Oh, this is a good one. Most people that are overweight and unhealthy, they don't have any strategy to their meals. No idea. They're never hungry. They're hungry all the time. They eat whenever. They don't plan it. They grab random things. They don't care. And the only time that they dial it in is when they're trying to like do some kind of a diet plan. But for the most part, they don't have any idea what actually it would look like to have any kind of structure routine to their eating. Random snacking throughout the day. This is like one of the worst habits and one of the first things I address. So many people tell me how much they don't want to worry about tracking their food because it's time consuming. And it's funny because I did a screen test check. I wanted to see how many minutes a day I spend in my food tracking app because I track my food daily. And it reported 15 minutes a day. 15 minutes of my entire day spent tracking my food. And I eat a ton of food, okay? If you're in your food app too much, you're eating too much. And not quantity per se per meal, likely too many times. People grab random shit all the time and they don't realize how many calories they're adding up. Nuts in the cupboard, having a handful of this, picking a few pieces off your kid's plate, tasting stuff while you're cooking, like all that stuff adds up. They don't plan their meals. I kind of already mentioned this. They don't have any kind of a strategy with their nutrition. And their excuse is normally, I get overwhelmed. Simple solution. What are you currently eating for your main meals? Now just make small modifications to those things. If you're eating a bagel and coffee for breakfast, okay, let's just add some protein. And now you've got a meal you've planned. If your lunch is typically something from a restaurant, how can we make something at home that's similar to what you get at the restaurant? Like, don't try and completely change everything. If you don't have time to eat all day, maybe we need to figure out small snacks that are higher in calories and protein for you to eat throughout your day, and then having a larger meal after work. It's all about finding solutions. Most people that are overweight and unhealthy are also victims of fad diets. Again, I told you there's going to be a lot of the opposites, but they fall victim to every fad diet and they think it's going to be the solution, and it rarely is. It doesn't usually do anything. It's comes and goes like the wind. They feel good for a couple days, couple weeks, and then they're like, "Nah, that was fun. Tried it out. Didn't work for me. I'm off it." They tend to drink alcohol and have a hard time cutting back or cutting it out. It's become a reliance. They just feel like if they don't have it, they can't relax. It's part of their nightly routine. And this isn't the case for everybody, but it is a case for a lot of people. Or socially, if they have to drink, you don't realize how many calories you're drinking. You don't really realize how many calories you're eating when you are drinking. So it's one of those habits that can be a slippery slope. They rely heavily on restaurant food and takeout food. They are notorious for eating out, literally, I've seen people that are eating out every single meal. Dunkin' for breakfast, Chick-fil-A for lunch, stopping for pizza for dinner, just literally eating whatever they want all day, every day. And that is literally a recipe for becoming overweight and unhealthy. Calories in restaurant foods is way, way, way more than you think. In fact, I made a post today. Most people underestimate their calorie intake and can underestimate their calorie intake by as much as 2,000 calories per day. That's more than the daily recommended amount for most, I'm going to say on the lower active women. Okay, but still, it's a lot of calories extra. Guys, you get to realize when you're gaining weight, you're eating 3,500 calories more than you're burning. And that's for 1 pound. So like over the course of like a month, if you gained 8 pounds, that's a lot of calories actually you've had to eat. If I did the math on that right now, let me just do that. Let's just say that your maintenance was 2,000 calories. That would mean that to gain a pound a week, you would have to eat 2,500 calories daily. Yeah. So that would be a pound a week. That would be only 4 pounds in a month. So you have to realize you have to eat a lot of food to gain a pound. And that's where restaurants really do you dirty, because there is normally a lot of calories in something very similar that you would make at home because of the oils and the sauces and the other things that they add to make it taste amazing. Chefs do not care about your waistline. They care about making you happy. And here's the biggest difference when we're looking at the changes or the different habits here, right? I've kind of created 2 lists. Oh, one more thing I wanted to add, okay? Overweight, unhealthy people, they also enjoy vacations, celebrations. They have setbacks, but they let those things talk them out of getting back into routine. Oh, I fell off the wagon. I got to get back. And they're always trying to start and stop again, okay? Last thing that I wanted to mention, I forgot to mention that one. Okay, so here's the biggest difference between these 2 lists, the people that are fit and healthy and those that are not. Okay, motivating factors for people that live a fit and healthy life are not just about a scale or external validation. They are pulled to do these things because they make them feel a certain way. They like the way their body feels. They know how it feels to feel good after eating a good meal. All of these things drive them. And maintaining their results and their lifestyle has become a natural part of their life. When it comes to the other end, though, the other list, most of the time, the changes that are positive, the habit changes that they need to make, are usually being driven from either seeing a photo of themselves, seeing a number on the scale, trying to put on a pair of clothes that don't fit them. They hear a comment from somebody, and for whatever reason, it drives them to now all of a sudden, let's dial things in and make changes. But rather than looking at just developing those lifestyle habits and changes of living a lean, fit, and healthy life, they're looking for the most extreme and quick ways to make change. And it makes it impossible to stick to long term. And most of the reason why is because their expectations are the harder I work, the faster this is going to happen. And it doesn't happen that way. You can turn on a pot of water on the stove. You could turn it on high. It's going to take however long it's going to take to boil. It don't matter. You're still going to have to wait. And it's the same thing with fat loss. But people try so hard to make it happen so quickly that they burn out, they don't make changes, and they stay stuck in their current situation. They look for that perfect time to start when life is like so easy and like there's no stress and no chaos, there's no scheduled vacations, and then all of a sudden then they're going to be able to dial things in. It does not work that way. Life is not like that. Life is always going to throw you curveballs, and you're going to have to learn how to navigate your training, your nutrition, and your lifestyle no matter what happens. I wrote this quote down and I thought I put it on here, but I didn't. Okay. I forget where I heard it, but it's such a good quote. You are not necessarily at fault for your current situation. So like a lot of your habits have been developed over years and years and years of practice, even going down to your childhood. Even the beliefs you have about yourself and nutrition can come down to that. None of that stuff is technically your fault. You know, it's kind of stuff that's been ingrained in you for years. However, you are the only person responsible for changing it. Nobody else is going to save you. Nobody else is going to reach out their hand and tell you that this is what you got to do, and they're going to do it for you. I should say that people can tell you how to do it. In fact, that's what I try and do. But I can't do it for you. In fact, one of the hardest things as a coach is knowing how much I want somebody to change for themselves, but I can't force them to change. I cannot make it happen for them. They have to make the decision and be willing to take responsibility and let me be the guide. I am not the hero of the story. I am the guide. You have got to be able to say, I am going to make it my job to fix my current situation because I am tired of being unhealthy, unhappy, and unfit. And I do believe that fit and healthy go hand in hand. And I'm not talking the fittest on earth. I'm not talking, that shit. Like, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about being able to run a mile and not stopping. I'm talking about being able to lift some weights, I'm talking about that kinds of stuff that matters. So a lot of the problems I think that people face, as I already mentioned, when trying to change comes down to really four main things. And one of them I already kind of talked about is the extremes. I think another one is, and I kind of mentioned this too, but like perfectionism, looking for the perfect time, but also expecting perfection out of yourself. Do you think that lean, fit, and healthy people don't have bad days, don't miss workouts, don't have crappy food when they probably shouldn't have been having crappy food? No, they all do. Like, it happens. But like, they also know that those little things are not going to make or break them. They just get back on the track, back to routine, and they keep going. There's no perfection. Consistency is what most people need to understand. And those people that live a lean, fit, and healthy life have developed a consistent lifestyle that supports them staying that way. Rushing the process is another thing, and this goes with the going to extremes. Always telling yourself like you've got to do it all, right? Like, it's the day to clean it out. So I'm meal prepping and I'm doing this and I'm at the gym 6 days a week and I'm doing extra walking. It's like, stop trying to rush the process. Like, what What can you handle today? Start there and build. Makes life a whole bunch easier. And then the last one, and the most important one, you don't believe in yourself. You don't value yourself enough. You don't believe in yourself. You just don't think change is possible. And that belief is keeping you stuck where you're at. You think this is just the way life has to be. And I was like that for a long time. Self-acceptance, call it. It's not really self-acceptance. You're not happy. You're not happy staying the way you are. You just don't know what to change, or you're not willing to make those changes yet. So it starts with learning. It starts with this. You have to value and believe in yourself enough to say that right now, this is not who I am. This picture, the way I feel, the way I'm showing up in my life is not who I am. It's what people see and what I'm showing people, but it's not me. And I want to show me. This is who I am. I bust my ass. I work hard for myself. I go to the gym. I don't make excuses. I find solutions. You have to believe and value yourself enough to make change. Everybody struggles with this at some point in some area of their life, because in order for you to be successful at anything, you're going to have to do something you've never done before. And that doesn't always come easy. You're not confident that you're going to be able to do those things. You get confident when you do those things. So I hope this episode was helpful for you. Again, I know it can bring up some emotions because it's hard. It's hard to face reality of how our life is shaped by our choices. And as I said, some things in life aren't a choice, but our reaction to them is. So if you are somebody who found value out of this episode, or maybe it hits you a certain way and you want to talk about it, I'd love to talk about it with you. And I'm a very transparent person. I'll share my own struggles. I'm always on the struggle bus. I'm always working on bettering myself. I've overcome a lot in my life, and I'm sure I'm going to overcome a lot more. But before I start hacking up a lung again, I think I'm going to call it today. I'm going to just head over to the comments. I hope everybody is doing well. I see everybody on here. Hey, Lex. Hey, Holly. I like you guys. I love you guys. I'm not sure who A is. You're new. Hi, nice to meet you. So listen, I just want to say thank y'all for listening. Stay tuned. I do have some opportunities coming out for those of you guys that maybe heard this episode and you're like, just ready to step it up. It's ready to level up. And there's going to be more details going out on that on Monday. But until the next episode, I'll talk to y'all later.